Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your weekly injection of mind-numbing local news. My name is Alex, and joining us, thankfully, still here, is Rob. How are you, Rob?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm still luckily virus-free. Although,
as far as you know,
as far as I know, yeah, I'm not feeling the symptoms. I've got a bit of a cough, but I think that's unrelated. But yeah, not too bad.
Well, a cough is one of the main symptoms, but
I realise that. Yeah.
Oh, listeners, look, listeners. I mean, and also, can I just say, Rob, how aptly named in a way is up. We've always had this medical themed name, which was a play on words of local news and everything, and now it's finally paying dividends. Because look, Rob and I, we realise now we are performing a public service, because while so many of us are trapped at home, Rob and I have been working from home all week. It's driving us nuts. I'm sure many of you are too. And I had texts from people saying, please, 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 release more episodes because we need something to tide us over. This is something, Rob, which just helps, I think, get people through. A bit of local anaesthetic, if you will, a bit of soothing Novocaine type thing.
Well, it's nice to know. And obviously, we're both working from home now. I think that's okay to say. Me and I think Alex as well. As my manager said, for the foreseeable future. So it's difficult to know what to think at the moment. It's unprecedented. That's it. I'm lost for words.
What's worrying me is just a few days in and I have got really bad cabin fever. I mean, I'm restless. I feel like... Do you know what it is? Rob? First of all, I think something like this really does make you appreciate the small things you normally take for granted. And those small things would be, for example, walking into a supermarket and buying a tin of beans, which I can't do at the moment. Those kind of things that you don't appreciate how lucky actually you are. So that is one thing that it helps you reflect on. But the other thing is that this gives us a real feeling of what it would be like, in a very light way, I'm going to say that, but to be in solitary confinement. Because it's not like even being at prison, where you can go and have a game of table tennis with the lads, smash up somebody's teeth in the yard,
then drop the soap in the shower.
Drop some soap in the shower and enjoy the consequences of that. Or even, take some methamphetamine or crack cocaine that's been smuggled in. We can't even do that, Rob. But it is an odd situation. It is like being under a kind of lockdown.
Well, effectively we're under house arrest. I know technically we can leave, but my thought is that, I used to really look forward to my weekends, and I tried to make the most of them, and I'm just thinking...
You're a person who's very out and about, aren't you? You like going to museums,
like to be active, yeah.
Art galleries, saunas. I know you like to go to Soho. I know you say you go to a lot. I think there's a lot of art galleries around there, you always say to me.
There's a lot of friendly people in those in those saunas, Alex, and they're very willing to share their bath products and other things. But let's get back to the point. And I've got to the point where I just realised the weekend is just going to be exactly the same as the week now, sans a computer. Because there's nothing you can do.
But now you know what it's like to be unemployed as well, Rob.
Yeah.
And just how devastating that can be to your mental health. No, I know what you mean. Whereas I did not do anywhere near as much as you on weekends, but what I've always enjoyed and I love is just watching like football matches, and I'll watch as many of them as I can, or Formula One, and that would be something to look forward to. It'd be a structure to my week. It is not there. There's nothing there, Rob.
No, that's it, isn't it? There's just a void now that there's no sport. I was supposed to go to the cinema, to the theatre last night to see Book of Mormon, which was cancelled on Monday, it's just looking quite bleak at the moment.
The worry is that if the companies can't cope with the surge of need of internet use and like 4G on your phones and all the things which people are going to be needing, then they could. Look, we're depressing people, Rob. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to report on weird, strange, and funny local news from around the world, and that's what we're going to do, Rob. So can we just get on with this, unless there's any news?
No, the only thing... I did just spot... there's obviously a fake news website called the SouthEndNewsNetwork.net, who just posted an article entitled "A Guide for Working from Home Without Having a Wank Every 3 Minutes." So if anyone needs that,
well, I didn't want to mention that, but yeah, that's another part of it. And I might mention that again later. Actually, what was I going to say? What I was going to say, Rob, is that I do hope that all of our listeners are well.
Yeah, I think that's the underlying issue. Yeah, we hope that everyone is safe and well out there, and if you have caught it, we hope you make a speedy recovery.
Oh, the problem is, Rob, is that even if you do get it and recover and you have the antibodies to fight it, it's not like you can go, oh, hey, and go out and enjoy yourself because there's fuck all to do.
Yeah, true. Alex, it's getting bleak again.
Right, sorry. Okay, Rob, you talked about masturbation. Yeah?
Yes.
I did actually read this headline, which I'm not going to read out the story, or saving it for the end, of headlines that didn't make it.
I've got some this week as well.
Good. One of those was, can masturbation help prevent COVID-19? And do you know what the answer to that is, Rob?
No.
The answer is yes, it can.
No, it can't.
No, it absolutely can. I've read scientific articles about this, basically it boosts the immune system.
Right.
Regular masturbation is good for you. I wouldn't say every 3 minutes. That will lead to more complications than it solves.
You'll go blind.
But Rob, on the same topic, by Almara Abgarayan from the Metro on the 13th of March, and we're recording for the fastidious amongst you on the 18th of March 2020. Headline: Please don't masturbate with hand sanitizer. It's a public call
again,
out here, Rob.
Surely. Can I also say that I read it? I'm not going to feature it, but I saw a story in the Metro today that apparently not only has people been stocking up on toilet paper and canned goods, but also sex toys.
What? Okay. Anyway, in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, hand sanitizer bottles are flying off the shelves, but the clear liquid might not only be used for what you imagine. In case you haven't caught the hint, we're talking about masturbation. While most people are stocking up on necessities, lube is probably not high on that list. But please, when you're enjoying your lunch break while working from home, do not reach for the hand sanitizer. To put it plainly, masturbating with hand sanitizer is a very bad idea. Today I found, and these are from people who've posted online. Today I found out that using a certain hand sanitizer as a masturbation lube will put you in hospital, and result in having to wear an adult diaper for 1 week. One person who described their experience. Another person on Reddit, in a lengthy Reddit post, said, I grab some hand sanitizer, I go for it, except I put a bit too much on, it burns a little more than I can take and I have to rinse off. I get up and try again, this time just to drop right on the urethra. It stings a tiny bit, but I go for it and fap it up. I get that slight, hot kind of burning but kind of not feeling, and if I look down it feels like I'm pissing up a storm, etc, etc, Rob. Basically, using hand sanitizer on your penis or inside your vagina, listeners, is a very bad idea. Dr. Irim Chowdhury, medical director at Manual, says, we know supermarkets are running out of hand sanitizers. Now we must not forget that alcohol-based gels were initially used to clean hands in absence of hand-washing facilities. Masturbation is a natural thing that many people enjoy. However, I strongly advise not to use hand sanitizer on your genitals to masturbate. And also, please don't use soap. Why do people need telling this, Rob?
Because, Alex, we've covered this. Unfortunately, people, and there are exceptions out there, but on the whole, people are morons.
Yeah, I saw a guy in Lidl yesterday morning who was having a blazing row with one of the poor people who work there, because he was trying to buy multiple mega packs of toilet roll, and they said he couldn't, and he was shouting, okay, I'll put them back, but I'll be back here tomorrow morning to buy more, and I'll be back here the morning after to buy more, and you can't stop me, and we need to do this because people can't get out of the house. And I just felt like, I understand people's concerns, but obviously there was enough to go round for everybody before this started, so presumably if we kept doing what we were doing before and maybe just buying a little more, we would have been okay.
In that situation, and I know that there might have been a possibility that I could have been punched in the face, but I would love to just walked up to him, nose to nose, and told him to go fuck himself.
I'd like to see that, Rob. Anyway, do you remember last week? Was it last week when I had the story about the man who was injecting people in a supermarket in America with syringes full of his own semen? Or was that the week before?
No, it was last week. Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know if this is related. It's from Newsweek in America by Khalida Rahman from the 15th of March. Suspect in Las Vegas wore hazmat suit, sprayed shopping carts and customers in coronavirus scare.
For a second there, I thought you were about to say sprayed shopping carts and customers with his own semen.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
No.
A man dressed in a hazmat suit went into a Walmart store and sprayed 13 people with an unknown liquid. So we don't know what it is, Rob. The incident comes at a time when many Americans are rushing to buy supplies. So it happened at this Walmart store. A spokesman for Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said the suspect walked into the store. So picture this, Rob, wearing a hazmat suit.
I mean, that would be terrifying in itself.
Yep. 13 people were in the store who came into contact with the clear liquid he was spraying.
Oh, God.
And there was an individual that came into the store dressed in a hazmat suit, started spraying certain items in the store. At this point, we know approximately 13 people came into contact with this substance that was being sprayed. And a witness in the store called 911 after the man started spraying people and items, including fresh food. He had some clear liquid in it with the painter's tape, something written on it. He was just spraying unnecessary things in people's personal spaces, on conveyor belts, and worst of all, by the fresh foods. I mean, this is a mental breakdown, isn't it, Rob?
Sorry, can I, Alex? I'm going to have to ask this question, and part of me means it seriously. Is this the end of days?
Well, Rob, we did speculate. We did speculate that maybe we were living in some kind of alternative timeline, and I think we speculated that had started with Y2K, which actually didn't turn out well. Because you remember on the millennium when nothing happened, when there was this whole worry about Y2K,
That's
and
right.
It was weird that literally nothing happened.
No,
maybe
the clocks ticked
something
over, and that was it.
Yeah, maybe something actually did happen, and we've been living in this weird alternative timeline ever since, where the Twin Towers fell, where very bizarre things have happened. I include George Bush Jr. in that. I obviously include Trump in that. I include many things in that. And this might be the latest stage in it. Or, Rob, yes, we are heading towards Armageddon.
Alex, maybe...
And God's final judgment.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at that.
I mean, churches have closed, Rob, so if that's not a sign, I don't know what is.
Do you know what? Also, the most... Considering that we're talking about possibly the most revered festival in the Christian calendar, Easter, churches will be closed over Easter, if anything tells you. But also, can I just say, you mentioned obviously maybe possibly moving up, or at least trying to do the podcast more than once a week, or at least doing the episodes close together. Maybe this is the perfect time to launch our conspiracy podcast.
What, will we just come up with random conspiracy shit that we've made up?
Well, I think the first conspiracy is that as of the first minute of 2000, of the year 2000, that's when we slipped into a parallel universe, which was actually
Rob,
where we find ourselves now.
Why can't we go back, Rob? Do you remember when Will Smith did that 1999 rap?
Oh yeah.
What was
it called the Millennium or something like that? Have I made that up?
Yeah.
Will
Millennium.
2K? Hang on. I think it's Will 2K.
Will 2K.
Yeah, Will
lyrics.
2K.
Let's just remind people of what those were. I want to take people back 20 fucking years. So, Rob, this is before everything went to shit. It's here and I like it. Woo, ha, ha. Big Will. It's here and I like it. Say what? Gonna pack the dance floor. Rock the dance floor. Here it comes. The party of a lifetime. You remembering this now? 31st of December. Man, I remember when the ball dropped for 90. Now it's 99, 10 years behind me. What's going to happen? Don't nobody know. Well, I won't. I'm not even going to go into the rest of it, but that's probably an apt way to end it. What is going to happen? Well, Will, this is what's going to happen. Thanks a bunch. Right, Rob, sorry for that detour. I have one more story.
I enjoyed that.
One more story which I think will massively lift people's spirits. Firstly, because it's not COVID-19 related, and secondly, because it's a classic. It's from the New Zealand Herald, Rob.
Lovely.
Because it took place in New Zealand. Now, I'm trying to find stories from wherever I can. I'm going to be honest with people. This happened some time ago.
Right, fine. It's okay.
It happened on the 22nd of August 2016.
We've had older stories than that.
But Rob, it has to be read. Headline. It's by Lane Nichols, by the way, senior reporter. Real estate agent accused of sending headless rat, used condoms.
So, he was sending headless rats used condoms?
Well, you'll find out. But more evidence, Rob, of the alternative timeline that we're on. Surely that headline. Right, Rob, you've got to listen to the detail of this. It is quite complex, but stay with it.
Okay.
A real estate agent facing misconduct proceedings is accused of sending soiled sanitary pads, used condoms, and a decapitated rat through the post. Now, Rob.
You don't have to say it, Alex. You don't have to say it. I know what you're going to say.
Soiled sanitary pads, used condoms, and a decapitated rat. I would love.
Yeah. We're not going to beat that today. That's going to be the episode title.
Prosecutors say Grant Tucker, I love his name, very, very New Zealand style name that, or Australian. I know they're not the same, but I'm just saying Grant Tucker is a very quintessential name for that neck of the world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Also sent offensive and derogatory letters and emails, which included homophobic slurs in a, in quotes, campaign of harassment targeting his former boss and the lawyer.
Right.
Tucker has previously admitted sending a jar of feces. Hang on, Rob, you've got to wait. This is how I found this story through a previous one. Tucker had previously admitted sending a jar of feces through the post, but the Real Estate Agents Authority has now charged him with more offences. I like the fact that New Zealand has this thing called the Real Estate Agents Authority, who can prosecute people.
I don't understand what's going on.
I want to be a real estate cop. You'll get there, don't worry. Appearing yesterday before the Real Estate Agents Disciplinary Tribunal, they've got a whole network, this organisation.
Apparently so. Wow.
He denied 2 charges of disgraceful misconduct. The tribunal heard that Tucker worked for Auckland-based Custom Residential, that's the name of the company, in 2011, but left after a dispute over commission. You with me, Rob?
Yes.
He later took a successful complaint against the agency to the Disputes Tribunal, receiving a financial payout. But prosecutor Michael Hodge said Tucker then launched a sustained campaign against Custom director Jonathan Wills and his solicitor David Beard. This allegedly included sending offensive, derogatory and defamatory emails and letters to staff and clients, vandalising the company's open home signs, and sending disgusting packages to the 2 men by post. Wills, who's the lawyer, described opening a putrid package in 2014 that had leaked brown liquid onto a staff member's dress. It contained a decapitated rat. The package's sender panel read, "Jilted Lover." So presumably he felt hard done by that he'd had to leave the company. I don't know.
Apparently so, yeah.
Tucker also left offensive voice messages on Will's phone calling him a cock-sucking fuckwit.
Okay. Lovely.
After Wills instructed Beard to issue a trespass notice against Tucker, the disgruntled former employee posted a jar of shit to the lawyer's office. It doesn't say, it says jar of feces, but he did send that. So Beard said he began opening the courier-type package, but as I started to open it, I smelt something vile. He took it to the police and opened it outside the police station with an officer using protective gloves. Inside was what looked and smelled like human feces. He says, I was gagging over the side of Auckland Central Police Station and I took the rest of the afternoon off.
I think that's fair, Alex. I think I'd do the same.
Tucker was charged by police over the incident. He admitted sending the package but claimed it was first sent to him anonymously by his former partner, who he said was in cahoots with Wills, and he was simply returning the package. It's too convoluted, mate, your alibi there.
This man is I mean, he clearly has some issues.
Well, he was discharged without conviction. In July 2015, Beard said he received a similar package addressed to him at his office, suspecting it was also from Tucker. Can you imagine when these things come in? Beard opened it using pink rubber dishwashing gloves. It contained a soiled sanitary pad and used condoms, plus a note saying, "Harden up, son."
I really... Where is he getting these items from? I'm really concerned that he's just had sex with his partner and, after coitus is saying, he's going to the bin and picking out the well, you can imagine what, and just literally pop it into a jiffy bag for later.
Yeah. Tucker is also accused of egging a custom staffer's car, so throwing eggs at it, Rob, and saying to Wills, "Found your balls yet, you gutless piece of shit." These are all very appropriate insults for that part of the world, I must say. I can imagine them being said in a Kiwi accent.
Can you do that? Could you?
"Found your balls yet, you gutless piece of shit."
I think that's quite good. I like that. Yeah, it's nice. Also, that's a good ringtone.
Tucker, who now works for Net Realty and is representing himself at the hearing.
Brilliant.
Oh, God. Questioned.
Hang on. So you said he got off without any convictions?
No, in the past, he did.
Oh, in the past. Sorry. Right. Okay.
Questioned the truthfulness of both Wills and Beard during cross-examination. The tribunal heard a handwriting expert found samples of the letter that were inconclusive. Tucker also established that no samples from the sanitary pads, condoms or faeces were sent away for testing. So he actually did a pretty good job in representing himself and exposing the flaws in their case. There's no confirmation from any expert they contained what has been claimed to be in the contents of those packages, Tucker told the tribunal. The hearing continues today. And really, Rob, really, if I'm going to do this due diligence, I really should find out what happened and get back to people, shouldn't I?
Please do, Alex. Yeah, I think we deserve it to the listeners.
Okay, Rob, you got some stories for us there. Come on, lighten the nation's mood.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm just having a quick look through. I don't think any of my stories are COVID-19 related. So,
well, that's fucking impressive, Rob, because I have trawled through many, many local news sites and have found nothing but that.
Yeah, I must admit the sites are saturated with those stories, but I've managed to find a few that aren't. So here we go.
They're infected, Rob.
Maybe.
I'd love it if the news shopper had to go into self-contained isolation. Couldn't publish any stories. I don't know, or the only stories it could publish were about itself because they couldn't send out any journalists.
I'd like that if they started doing exposés on each member of the staff.
Yeah, Darren's stolen all the coffee again.
But they really went in depth. They really went into investigative journalism. So they're trying to find whether they've any of them have been involved in a scandal or they're having an affair.
Rob, I've got to stop it. News shopper and investigative journalism. Are you insane?
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah. Well, they might get bored.
Okay, what are your stories?
So the first one is from My London, which is a newspaper I found relatively recently. Which is
well, I did a story from them last week. Yeah, they're new, but it's great.
Yeah,
I said it looks just like it is a local news site, but just for London, and it's got the same template, it's got the same
branding. Yeah. As all the other live websites. So the story is by Danielle Manning from the 17th of March, so it's only yesterday. Headline: Croydon mother hit by Lidl ceiling tile vows to never go back there.
Good find, Rob.
A Croydon mother has vowed never.
From now on, then I'll let you cover My London because we don't want to. If I go there, then we'll both be getting the same stories.
Okay, that's very kind. So, a Croydon mother has vowed never to go back to a Croydon stall after her ceiling tile fell and hit her.
So I'm thinking those are pretty big. Those, they're not like small bathroom tiles. They're those big kind of white square things. They'd be pretty heavy.
No, I don't think they are. I think they're. Because have you ever tried to lift one? Because they're like polystyrene.
Yeah, I was about to. Yeah, but the size of it, I still think. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Martell Watson, 31, was buying dinner for her son when a wet section of the ceiling fell. A wet section of the ceiling fell onto her hand in the London Road Thornton Heath store on Thursday, March 5th.
Hand or head?
Hand.
But I thought she said it fell on her head.
Did I misread it? No, it just says it fell and hit her.
What if it hit your hand?
Yeah.
She'll be back, Rob.
Come on,
this
is
now
local
with everything
journalism.
that's going on. If they've got some loo roll, she'll be in there like a whippet.
Good point. She said, all of a sudden, this thing just literally fell straight on my hand. After a minute and a half, one of the workers came over and said, "Not again," which I would think that. I mean, that's an admission of liability there, isn't it?
It really is, Rob. It really is.
I just love that maybe hour by hour, each piece of the ceiling is slowly falling down onto its customers.
Which is a good metaphor for what's happening in society, Rob.
Good point. Although it is Thornton Heath, so, you can't expect much else.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I've driven through Thornton Heath many a time. I'll say nothing.
Yeah. She claimed that the staff told her that a tile had fallen earlier in the day, but not hitting anyone.
Right. That's all right then.
So that's fine. That's okay. This is what happens.
Why did somebody get up there on a stepladder with some gaffer tape?
But it's wet. I don't know. So, which implies there's probably a leak there as well, which obviously they're not addressing that either.
It implies there's multiple issues.
But again, in the current situation we're living in, these are the kind of things that you've just come to expect. The Croydon resident who's been shopping there for 5 years described wanting to cry when the wet tile slapped onto her hand.
It's really not that traumatic, is it, Rob? Is it?
Well, what I love
wanted to cry.
Yeah. There's also.
Well, I think something else was going on in her life then, because that wouldn't. I'd be perturbed, but I wouldn't want to cry.
This does seem like this might have been the final straw. Maybe she was having a bad day, and this was just.
It's the final falling ceiling tile that broke this woman's back, Rob, or hand.
Well, there's a picture of. I don't know why she's taken a picture of her hand, but in this article there was a picture of her hand with just the minest remnant of the ceiling tile on it. So there's no noticeable injuries to her hand in the slightest.
Rob, her hand will forever remember what happened to her. Every time she goes to do the washing up, it will remember. Every time she goes to masturbate, Rob, she'll remember. Every time she goes to wash her hands or do anything that you shake hands to somebody, not advisable at the moment, I just want to say, she'll be reminded, Rob, of the wet ceiling tile slapping her hand.
Well, it's funny you say that, Alex, because she goes on to say, the worst part of her ordeal, she explained, was how unsympathetic some of the staff were after her hand had become swollen.
And when we say unsympathetic, was it just a case of them saying, "Oh, fuck off"?
I mean, it's not far off. She said, I asked the manager if she could get me something I could wipe my clothes and hands with. The manager didn't really acknowledge what I was saying. She asked if I was okay, and can I leave now? I thought, wow. She swept at the dust, and she left.
Well, they actually asked her to leave the store? Or?
Yes. Yeah, she seems to be making too much of a nuisance, showing the place up. I stood in the same position for about 15 minutes in total, maybe a bit more. It was only the security guard who asked if I wanted a drink or a chair.
Sorry. Sorry. Like there's trauma, right? And there's trauma.
Yeah.
Unless I'm mistaken, she's walking around Lidl and a ceiling tile drops down that happens to be wet and grazes her hand.
Yes.
She stands in the same spot for 15 minutes, presumably trembling with shock.
Yes.
And she's upset that nobody's offered her. Who's going to offer a chair to sit down in the middle of the aisle?
The security guard asked if she wanted a drink or a chair, which is very nice of them.
No, I thought she said nobody asked. If you read it, I thought she said they didn't even offer me a...
I stood in the same position for about 15 minutes in total, maybe a bit more. It was only the security who asked if I wanted a chair, a drink or a chair.
A chair? I don't think there are any chairs knocking around Lidl, though. I don't know what... He was going above his station there, Rob.
So after a further wait, Martel said another manager filled out an accident report but didn't offer any help to finish her shopping.
Sorry, was her hand broken or wounded in some way?
Well, apparently it was swollen.
Right, okay. I mean, it's just it really is an act of nature in a way. It's it's just one of those things. It's not nice. Have some free Lidl vouchers.
No. Well, apparently, she said she needed some help to feed her son that evening. Martel carried on shopping by now, pushing the trolley with one hand. She believes she should have been allowed. Sorry. She believes she should have been allowed to skip to the front of the queue of the checkout to make it easier for her to get home. I don't know why. Because of a swollen hand, apparently.
Has this woman never suffered anything more in her life than a swollen hand? I mean, imagine if all the ceiling tiles had fallen down on your head. Imagine if the whole store had collapsed around you. Put it in perspective. Yeah. It's unpleasant. It's not nice. Everybody's sorry. It's okay.
Yeah. But I mean, she doesn't feel that. She said, she feels that she should have had some allowances made for her, but no. I mean, they didn't even offer.
I've told you before what I think. If I was little, I would arrange for her to wake up one morning with a dead horse's head next to her in bed, and a note on it saying, don't ever slander us again. That's the only way to deal with these people.
We're happy to lend you a hand.
Yeah, having to lend you a hand. A severed hand in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a hand. Yeah, that's good, Rob. Can I just say, Rob, about supermarkets? Obviously we're in this great big toilet roll crisis that everybody's so worried about at the moment. And what I haven't understood about this is it hasn't been a concern to me at all. Do you know why?
What's that?
Because all that happened was when this started to happen with all the toilet roll and everything, I just went down to local newsagents. I bought 12 copies of that day's edition of The Sun, and I'm figuring that'll keep me going all the way through autumn, possibly to winter.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That is a way of doing it. Anyway, Rob, your next story.
My second story is from the Lincolnshire Live website. It is from also the 17th of May by Mark Naylor and Peter Hennessy.
They don't sound like they should be local news journalists. I know I'm just judging it on names, but it sounds like... It sounds beneath them, Rob.
Mark Naylor and Peter Hennessy sounds like they would be quite a good writing duo for a...
Yes, a sitcom or something, yeah.
Yeah. But
maybe they're working on it, Rob. It'll all be about being based in a local news.
So, like, drop the dead donkey then.
But local news.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Have we stumbled onto an idea there? Do we need to write?
Yeah, because we have been thinking about one for a while. Okay, that's the one we'll do because we do actually have plenty of knowledge now about the industry.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, headline: Mum takes escaped prisoner to Skegness for a weekend away.
Right. Well, I wish you'd take me for a weekend away because I feel like a prisoner. I've never been to Skegness. I don't know where it is. I used to. Do you know what? I'm very familiar with the idea of Skegness because Adrian Mole used to mention it a lot, and I used to, when I was young, I used to religiously listen to this Adrian Mole audio cassette.
Okay.
Which was brilliant. You know, the book being read out, basically.
Yeah.
But it was, and it was exceptional. And I think he mentioned Skegness a lot. What is Skegness? I've always wondered. I always think it's like Bognor Regis.
Well, yeah, Skegness is a seaside. I've only been to Skegness once,
but it's just got such a horrendous name.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Skeg sounds like something that comes out your nose when you've got the coronavirus.
Yeah, it doesn't. When you think of the French Riviera, you're thinking of affluence, of beauty, of sweeping golden beaches. When you think of Skegness, you're thinking of a shitty seaside resort that's covered with the people who voted for Brexit. Unfortunately, that's true.
Rob, where is Skegness? I've got no idea.
Skegness is in Lincolnshire. So it's on the
bit more
east
of a
coast.
Clue.
Yeah, okay.
Below Norfolk?
No, above Norfolk.
Above Norfolk?
Just round the coast from Norfolk, yeah.
Now I can picture it. Lovely. Okay, sorry. Tell me about this escape.
Right, so my friend Ross used to be a redcoat at the Butlins there, so that's the only time I've ever been to Skegness, and I can't remember much about it because we were quite drunk. Anyway.
Okay.
So, a mum took an escaped prisoner to Skegness for a weekend away whilst he was on the run.
I didn't even pick that up. Escaped prisoner.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Luke Harvey placed an improvised dummy in his prison cell in HMP Sudbury.
Sorry, hey, stop. Start again. I'm obviously going to like this. Rob, can I put the campfire on for this?
If you'd like to, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, I can tell. This is a shaggy dog story if ever I've heard one. Okay, I'm going to put it on. You don't have to bother setting the scene. I can't be arsed. We're on a nice wooded area, having a campfire. There is a sign over there, Rob, saying no open fires, but I'm going to ignore it. In fact, I'm going to put it on with the rest of the kindlewood, the sign, and burn it.
Have we got any toilet roll we can stick on the fire?
No, Rob, we need that.
Okay, right, fine.
I'm planning on masturbating later to boost my immunity, and I need the tissue.
Right. Okay, good to know.
You'll be asleep, don't worry.
Okay. We're not sharing the same tent, are we?
There's no tent, Rob. It's just 2 sleeping bags out in the open.
Right. Okay.
I bought lots of hand sanitizer to keep us going.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So Luke Harvey placed an improvised dummy in his prison cell in HMP Sudbury.
What do you mean, an improvised dummy? What's he made it out of? Bog roll?
What? Alex, everyone knows when you
a paper mache.
Maybe. A combination of his own semen and toilet paper.
Can I guess? Does this basically involve him like rolling up bits of his clothing and putting it under the duvet to make it look like a body is sleeping under there?
It doesn't say, Alex. It doesn't say.
You can't just say an improvised dummy and leave it. What did he make it out of?
Well,
with what materials?
But right, if we go back to let's go back to like teenage comedies when they sneak out of their bedrooms. It's obviously it's a combination of pillows and clothes, isn't it? I imagine that's what it is. So he placed an improvised dummy in his prison cell in HMP Sudbury before scaling a wall and getting into a car driven by his girlfriend. Hannah Smith.
Sorry, why did he scale this wall? It's meant to be a fucking prison. That you're not meant to. The whole idea of a prison is you don't have scalable walls.
Yeah.
It seems frighteningly easy to escape from this prison. You just put some pillows under a duvet, the guard goes, oh yeah, he's still asleep, and somehow you're allowed to knock around and somehow climb a wall.
Yeah.
And get over it and get into a car.
I mean, there is something about this story that's very British, because the fact that, you know, he's finally managed to bust out of prison. His girlfriend's waiting there in the car, waiting to take him away
and
from
they go
all
to
this.
Skegness. Do you know why they went there? To try and win some loo roll in those claw machines.
The
grabber machines. Okay, all right, come on then.
So Hannah Smith spent time with Harvey on the coast before he went on the run for a week. They were eventually pulled over by the police on the M6 near their home in Birmingham. Now, can I just say, by the way, Harvey does sound like quite a nasty individual. So Harvey, 30, was jailed for 12 years for a violent robbery in 2014, had an additional 10 months added to his sentence that he's currently serving. Anyway, so guards at the prison flagged Harvey as missing when guards did their late-night evening checks on prisoners. CCTV showed him climbing a 10-foot wall. So there's your answer, Alex. It's a 10-foot wall.
How did he climb it? Was he Spider-Man? Did he have suction pads? The whole point is this wall should not have any little crevices in it, nothing that you should be able to get. They're meant to be unscalable. This is pissing me off.
Yeah, it really doesn't say. He had told her he was supposed to be back in prison on Monday, September the 3rd, but failed to return. However, Harvey saw Smith again days later and asked her to drive him to a friend's house, which she did, knowing he was on the run.
I'm really confused. What do you mean he told her he was meant to be... So are you telling me that after he leapt over this wall into her car, he made it sound like, yeah, he'd been released for a couple of days for good behaviour and he had to be back in a certain amount of time?
I think I was embellishing there. So she wasn't in the car. I think what had happened is he managed to escape, and this is the first bit. He went to her house.
What, and she believed that they just let out a guy on 12 year for violent robbery? Yeah, you can go out for a couple of days.
Apparently
she's not
yes.
the brightest, Rob.
No. So, Judge Sean Smith QC jailed her for 6 months, suspended for 2 years in order to pay out £150 hours of unpaid work. Had you been harboring secretly, making sure people did not know where he was, then doubtless you will be going into immediate custody. So there's not more to the story, unfortunately, but I really wanted them to go into details about what they did when they got to Skegness. You know, did they play on the slot machines? Did they buy some chips? Did they go to Butlins? What did they do once they got there?
Rob, this was written by not one but two journalists who were presumably too busy writing their sitcom to bother to get any of the actual salient facts to put in this article.
Yeah. And what's even, this is obviously Lincolnshire Live, where Skegness is in their borders. They could easily have found this out. they could have asked around the local shops, spoken to the B&B owners.
I like the idea, Rob. Do you get internet in prison?
I'm assuming you probably get privileges, but I imagine a lot of the websites will be blocked.
But I get the feeling that somehow or some way he listens to this podcast and has heard this, and he's now doing those. He's now written on his hand, kill Rob, and you're next when he scales the wall again.
Why not both of us?
Well, because I haven't said anything disparaging about him. You called him. You said he wasn't a nice individual. I think he sounds like a perfectly pleasant individual with who's highly talented. He's a monkey. He can climb a wall of a prison. And by the way, if he can scale a 10... Oh, well, here's my question. Why did he wait so many years to do this?
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's not like he could practice... What I love about this idea, it's not like he could practice climbing it. It's like you've just got to go for it and hope. It's not like you can train yourself up. Unless, he was climbing the walls of his jail cell like Spider-Man and...
Maybe, Alex, for all we know, he spent 6 years planning the perfect holiday in Skegness.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, Rob, this is from the Metro. Hoping you haven't seen this. It's by Emma Brazel. From Friday the 13th of March. Headline. Serial flasher spared jail after saying he started doing it after being hit on the head.
Right. Does he say with what or?
It's a ceiling tile from Lidl.
Right. Okay.
No. It's the details of this story, Rob, which are brilliant. A serial flasher. Anyway, Shane Rees, 44, from Wiltshire. Are you ready for this, Rob? Masturbated in a house window for more than 30 minutes in front of a landlord who was showing a prospective tenant around a property in January last year. I'm going to read that again. So Shane Rees, 44, from Wiltshire, masturbated in a house window for more than 30 minutes. That's a long one. In front of a landlord who was showing a prospective tenant around a property in January last year. I hope he was using hand sanitizer, Rob.
I need to unpick this. So, I'm assuming that he was in a house adjacent to the one being shown by the landlord,
or opposite it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He wasn't standing in the window as the landlord tried to show the person around the house. Oh, don't mind him. He'll stop soon.
I don't think so. The former demolition worker. I love details like that, Rob.
Yeah.
Because also, why did he have to stop demolition work? Was it because he was wanking too much on the job? I mean, I do want to know why that was.
Yeah, he was in the wrecking ball, he was knocking one out, and he just lost concentration.
What if he now gets turned on by watching things be demolished? So, like, out of an evening, sits down with a laptop and watches, buildings being demolished, like in Las Vegas and various places, knocking one off with a bit of Carex, whatever that fucking hand sanitizer is called.
I'm concerned now that I imagine there is a very niche fetish of people getting turned on by demolition.
Yeah. Oh, I know why he had to leave. I'm sorry. The former demolition worker who has a history of indecent exposure dating back to 1996 told Swindon Crown Court that being struck on the head by a steel girder in the early 1990s had left him with damage to his frontal lobe. So presumably this happened, Rob, while he was on a demolition job.
Yeah. So obviously he was masturbating, was distracted and maybe just walked.
No,
in
Rob.
Just
No, Rob, don't make light of this. He's saying this all started after being hit. Wait. On January the 30th last year, the landlord noticed curtains twitching in the window of a nearby house. Tessa Hinkston, prosecuting, said. Mr. Hinkston continued, he goes on to describe the naked person moving the window to and fro. Well, that's not good grammar. He wasn't moving the window, was he?
It means to be moving the curtains.
Presumably. It was absolutely...
I'm slightly concerned that literally they turn around, there's a curtain drawn apart from an erect penis sticking through it.
It was absolutely clear that he was masturbating. When the landlord came out of his property around 30 minutes later, Rees was still at the window, performing a sex act upon himself while naked. In 2010, Rees was convicted of 6 exposure incidents when the police rigged up an undercover camera to catch him after numerous reports from different people. The latest incident put the former demolition worker in breach of a suspended sentence imposed at Gloucester Crown Court in 2017 for similar charges. He refused to answer most of the questions put to him by police. Instead, he suggested that the individual who had reported the incident could have been in collusion with those who had alerted officers for similar behaviour in the past. Sarah Jenkins, prosecuting, said her client spent time in hospital after he was hit in the head in the early 1990s while on a team working on the demolition of the Thorn Electrical Factory in Wales, in somewhere called Merthyr Tydfil in Wales.
Merthyr Tydfil, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're familiar with that, Rob?
Yeah, I had a friend who came from Merthyr Tydfil.
Maybe it's this man. When you say you had a friend, what happened to him?
Oh, well, I haven't spoken to her for a long time.
Oh, right, good.
Your friend from university.
Psychological reports ordered in 2017 when he faced allegations of indecent exposure revealed the accident had left Rees with damage to his frontal lobe and stated that he may be more disinhibited as a result. He'd been suffering from headaches brought on by stress and had turned to alcohol to self-medicate, and his offending typically coincided with alcohol binges. So actually, Rob, this is a pretty sad story. It's about a man who works as a demolition worker, getting hit on the head by a steel girder and losing his inhibitions.
Yeah, it is, Alex.
Yeah. He was also fined. Well, they didn't care because they fined him £500 for breaching a community order. Right. And he must sign on to the sex offenders register for 5 years.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So that's that story, Rob. It is now, of course, time for our listener story of the week. And who is it from?
So this week it is from Khyber. It's been one that's been in the banks for a while, and I haven't got around to it. But I feel that the time is right because it's one of those where it's a bit of a struggle to get your head around, but it's a good story. So it's from the Devon Live, from the 21st of January 2020, which is back when things were not great, but better than they are now.
Okay, here's a question: if you'd known then what you know now, back on that date, what would you have done? That's a brilliant question, Rob. I'm giving myself credit for that.
Yeah. I would have gone to Costco and stocked up.
Would you? I would have mainly stocked up on tinned things, I must say.
Yeah, so I was listening. I'm not one to do this, but I was listening to a podcast this morning and they were talking about prepping.
What?
And one of the
Yeah.
Say again, sorry.
No, go on. What did you say?
And one of the hosts apparently had between 6 to 8 months worth of food because
Really?
he's a big believer in prepping. And I just thought, I mean, first of all, I couldn't store it anywhere because my flat isn't big enough. But second of all, I don't know. Part of me wants to think that the situation isn't going to get to that severity, if that makes sense.
What I'm disappointed about, Rob, and I am disappointed in you, is your answer about what you would have done. Because surely the best thing to have done back in late January would have been to have alerted the world to the coming pandemic and told them that you know the future and told them what to do ahead of time. Although, to be fair, nobody would have believed you.
No.
You'd have probably been sectioned.
Yeah, I've been cast aside like all the other conspiracy theorists out there. But, I've been saying it for a while now, Alex, and, they've all been proved wrong and ultimately, they're going to pay.
Right. Chilling. Rob, that was, I just do want to say to anybody listening that threat that Rob appeared to make towards humanity in general was made in the name of jest. I don't think he's seriously considering anything, are you, Rob? Rob?
No.
Right, Rob, get on with this fucking story.
So the story is by Colleen Smith. Said it's from the Devon Live. You're going to have to bear with the headline. Police step up hunt for Devon serial Mangle Wurzel veg lobber.
Well, there's an episode title. What the fuck is a Mangle Wurzel veg lobber? It sounds like something from the day to day.
Veg lobber is someone obviously who's just throwing vegetables. And a mangwurzel, and I had to Google this. It's a beet basically, like a sugar beet, also known as a mangold or wurzel. It's in that family of vegetables basically.
Right. I don't like those vegetables. Continue.
No, nor do I. Police on the trail of the Devon veg lobber says they're looking at other investigation options to catch the offender who's been smashing windscreens on fast-moving cars on the dual carriageway.
Okay, that's fucking dangerous. Lobbing vegetables at cars on a motorway, that's insanity. You could cause serious injury. Can you imagine driving along and you get a fucking marrow smashed through the windshield?
Yeah, I think as you rightly say,
I would think that was the end of the world. I really would.
So there's been a spate of 17 serious incidents along the A380. What is that word? Hellevoetsluis Way? I don't know how to pronounce that. And Hamelin Way, and the South Devon Expressway between Torquay and Newton Abbot since last November. In the latest attack, a police armed response vehicle windscreen was smashed as it was heading to the call-out.
So it actually did it to a police officer. Never a good idea.
Yeah.
Never a good idea.
No.
Because they'll take those vegetables and they'll put them somewhere you don't want them to once you're locked up.
Yeah.
Including the marrow.
I think. Yeah. And they'll do it one by one, just to see how many they can fit in. Again, that is pure. Again, that's said in jest. There's no evidence that the police have ever done that to a suspect in their custody. Just to make that absolutely clear. Drivers who were hit by the heavy vehicle missiles initially reported that they thought they were Swedes or turnips. Can you imagine that during the interview? And Sarah, if you could just tell us what do you think it was that hit your windscreen? Could you describe what kind of item? Yeah, I think it was a Swede. Could have been a turnip. Not quite sure.
But any of these things could do damage, Rob. One pea, not really, but a pack of peas, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. And I mean, we've all heard the stories of if you stick a carrot up someone's exhaust pipe, you can do some serious damage.
Not a euphemism.
No, not a euphemism.
Well, it's funny you say that, Rob, because for our camping trip, I did bring some carrots. Anyway, sleep well.
Okay. But Devon Live found that the vegetables being used are fodder beets, also known as mangel-wurzels, stolen from a farmer's crop stacked beside the dual carriageway near Gallows Gate.
So he stole the vegetables as well, so he's also a vegetable thief. This is
Yes,
multiple felonies happening here.
Alex, these things are apparently the size of a football.
Yeah,
can you imagine?
No,
That'd be quite terrifying.
I'm sorry. I do think that's just completely jailable. I mean, you could have killed many people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if he's a sort of eco-warrior sort of person. And he's trying to make some sort of point about being vegetarian. Don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
No.
So, just going on to this next part. The area on Stanter Lane has been targeted in recent years by boy racers and drug users, and locals reported that Torbay Council has to clear the picnic area on a daily basis because of the amount of rubbish. One resident said last year the area was frequently used by druggies. Over a 3-month period during late 2019, used needles, drug use items, bloody rags, empty alcohol bottles, and other dumped rubbish was found in the area.
A very good episode title in there as well, Rob. Rob, what's the bloody rags about?
I don't know, Alex.
Do you think they're doing like on the fly dental work on each other?
What, a la day to day?
Yeah, yes. Good callback. Yeah, I just remembered that. I got a flashback. All right, Rob.
And I'm going to leave that there, Alex, yeah.
Right. We will get on to the headlines that we didn't feature, and I've got some good ones this week, but we do move forward with a mixture of eager anticipation, yet trepidation, to our next episode, which will be episode 308. Wow, 308. As we move ever more forward, Rob, like one day I would have prepared this ahead of time, you know.
What we had?
As we move ever more forward, like a man planning a holiday to Skegness for 6 years whilst in prison for a violent offence and coming up with the perfect way to escape. A way so ingenious, Rob, nobody else would ever have thought about it. And it involved putting some pillows under a duvet and pretending that was him asleep in bed, walking out into the yard and just climbing over a wall and running off. Just like that. We move ever more forward to our next episode, which, as I say, will be episode 308. We can be found on our website, lapodcast.net. From there, you can download all of the previous episodes. If you want to donate to this podcast or leave us a tip, there is a donate button in the top right-hand corner. We would appreciate that to help keep us afloat, to help keep us going, especially in these troubled times, although we do understand if you're having to tighten your belts. We can be found, of course, on Spotify, Rob. Wherever you're downloading us from, whatever, if you're using a podcast app, please do subscribe to us. Please do leave us a review, especially if you're a new listener. We really appreciate those. And we're on Facebook, facebook.com/LApod. Yeah, facebook.com/LA Podcast, and Twitter at LA Podcast. And if you want to submit us a story, you can post it on Facebook, tweet it to us, or email us the good old-fashioned way, lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That's lapodcast.net@gmail.com. Okay, Rob. See, now I'm looking. This is good, this feature now, because it gives me something to look forward to at the end of each week.
Yeah, I agree.
And I should just say, I didn't tell you about this before, Rob, but I do have one tiny story to finish on after this. Just right, okay, to really lift people's spirits at the end. Okay, headlines that didn't make it, Rob. So we'll alternate. How many have you got?
I've got 5.
Okay, Okay. Dancing Chorley flasher balanced pie on head before exposing himself at road junction. You're thinking, how did I not... Apparently stunned customers in an optician's watched in horror as a flasher exposed himself outside a pub.
Okay. Man finds haul of 1980s toilet paper in forgotten storage units.
Wow, he just hit gold.
Yeah.
Alcohol-free sanitizer given to prisoners to prevent them from making moonshine. Who the fuck would want to make a beverage out of fucking hand sanitizer?
Alex, these are desperate times.
Okay.
EastEnders Natalie Cassidy vows to play Sonia's trumpet in isolation as soap stops.
What does that mean? Play Sonia's... Is that a euphemism?
Doesn't sound like it. No, apparently, you remember the character Sonia from EastEnders?
Yes, very well.
She was famous for playing the trumpet, apparently, and so Natalie Cassidy has said that she'd be willing to play the trumpet again.
No, we don't want you to. It's fine. Confusion reigns after piles of potatoes dumped in North Carolina City. Can I just say, I've seen the picture. It was enormous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Man accused of being neighbour from hell caught by police in... Sorry, say again. Man accused of being neighbour from hell caught by police hiding in a mattress.
What? Well, again, I'm thinking, what do you mean? Why didn't you read that out? But what do you mean hiding in a mattress?
Literally inside a mattress. He hollowed out a mattress and hid inside
How
it.
did you not read that out?
But it says everything you need to know.
McDonald's McDouble burger used as weapon during domestic attack, cops say.
Nice, okay. Discovery in tomb reveals ancient game of donkey polo.
Yeah, I saw that. Woman discovers bar of soap she's been washing her hands with for 4 days is block of cheese.
Oh, no! That was one of the stories submitted. I was going to feature that.
Nah. And have you got any more?
Okay. Yeah, one more.
Go
on. Schoolboy entrepreneur sent home for offering 50p squirts of hand sanitizer.
I saw that. And I'm going to end with a headline, Rob, where you are going to be wondering, not just now, but probably for many years, why didn't Alex feature this story? Are you ready?
Yes.
Man requests, in quotes, trial by combat with Japanese swords to settle dispute with Iowa ex-wife.
I think we've had that story.
No.
Is that a new story?
It's a new one, yeah.
We've definitely had a man before who's asked for trial by combat.
I don't remember that at all, mate.
That was a long time ago, yeah.
No, I dispute you. If anybody knows that's true and what episode it was in, tell us.
I guarantee that happened.
Okay, let's make a bet then.
Happened.
What's the bet? I'm saying that never
50p.
happened.
50p.
A pound?
I'm saying it happened on a
Come on,
podcast.
£5.
There was a man...
£5.
Okay, £5, yeah.
Right, I'm saying it didn't happen. No trial by combat story.
I'm saying there was a man who asked for trial by combat. He asked the judge and it was refused, I seem to remember.
Okay. Right, Rob, I'm going to end with something just to lift everybody's spirits, Rob. This is from Newsweek. American publication. Jason Murdoch. It's a great story. Person under coronavirus lockdown in Spain tries to leave house dressed as a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Right. So as you know, Spanish police have urged citizens to remain indoors during their state of emergency, but a video of this incident was posted to Twitter, and I've watched it, it's beautiful, by Murcia Police Department, showing an unidentified citizen being stopped by a unit of officers who were attempting to enforce the government's plan to limit the spread of disease. So on Friday, as you know, they imposed this 15-day state of emergency. One small exception was that pets can be taken out on short walks, but police noted on social media that dinosaurs are not considered to be included in this category. So basically, the clip, which was edited to include the theme tune to the film franchise Jurassic Park, shows this man leaving his... so basically, this guy's wife had been previously confirmed to have contracted the coronavirus, and he left the house to try and pick up supplies wearing a dinosaur outfit. And...
See... Alex, I'm now concerned that the only reason you feature the story is to give you an excuse to pay the Jurassic Park theme tune.
That is true.
Is that or is that not correct?
That's true, and I'm going to raise it now while we finish. So, what's brilliant, and I do encourage people to search for this story and look at the video, because he's not doing it as a joke. What it turned out was, Rob, he did it as a genuine desire to protect himself. It was all he had. His wife's got coronavirus. He had to leave the house. And all he had to protect himself is this gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex costume.
Oh, my God.
And there's a video of him, crossing a street and the police, drawing up next to him as he's carrying this bag with him.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And as the beautiful notes of John Williams' masterpiece, of a soundtrack for Jurassic Park swell right now, Rob. We thank everybody for listening. We'll be back very soon. We are going to try and make the episodes more frequent where we can to tide you over. We thank you for listening. We urge you all to stay well and look after each other. God bless.
Oh, sorry, and keep it local.